Agitorium nostrum in nomine Domini. Let's continue this excellent study, summary of the doctrine on the church and state relationship, laid out clearly by Pope Leo XIII, Pius IX, Pius X, and the tradition of the Catholic Church. So let's just finish what we just saw on page 112 on the bottom. We're looking at principle 3. Neither is the church to be separated from the state, nor the state from the church. Proof. Pius IX syllabus condemned separation of church and state clearly. Proposition number what?
55.
B, from the origin of power, because the power of the church and state all proceeds from who?
God.
Yes. All authority comes from God, says St. Paul. C, from the object of power, both powers, civil and spiritual, are ordained to the same subjects. They look over the same subjects, which are who?
People.
People, yeah, the families, yes. And even to lead them to the same ultimate end, but in diverse ways. For although the proximate end of civil society is to procure the what good of men?
The temporal good of men.
This good is not an end in itself. In fact, it is not a true and complete good, unless it is subordinated to the ultimate end, which is God. So again, the interests of the church are the temporal good of the society, often called the commonweal, or the
Common good.
Yes, the common good. That's a true Catholic term, common good of the people, common good of society, which means the state provides the minimum material goods in order to live virtuous. So the state, for example, should encourage family farms, should encourage large families, should encourage, self-sustaining small farms. And that was, you look at the history of World War I and II, the backbone of Americans' hard-working and fighting boys were the farm boys. All throughout the whole Midwest and up in New England and all over. They were the tough boys. And in soccer, we used to play towns that were all made up of farm boys. And they weren't skilled in soccer, but they could hit hard. They were solid, just blocks. It was like running into stone blocks. So, same in hockey. The farm boys were usually very, very tough, and they loved a good fight too. So, on the ice. So the ultimate end, the church looks after the ultimate end, which is to get souls to God. So there you have that division. Again, the proof the church and state are not separate is authority, Pius IX, condemning the error. B, the origin, all authority comes from God, down. And then the object is the same, people. D, also from the nature of the state. As all popes have said, the state must ignore and allow freedom of religious liberty.
No, must fear and worship God.
What'd you say?
Must fear and worship God.
Yes, the individuals must, in their homes, in their sacristies, and in their families.
No, the state.
The society is built up of individuals coming together for the common good, so therefore society must worship God.
Yes, and the authority governing that society must worship God. This is so important, and we Americans, we need to get this into our blood, into our system. We have to convert. We have to become Catholic, because this liberal garbage is in our system. D, so from the nature of the state, as all popes have said, the state also must
Fear and worship God.
in the manner by which God himself has shown that he wishes to be worshipped. So not just worship him as a bunch of Baptists or Anabaptists or Mormons or whatever, Muslims, but the way God wants to be adored. Has he made known how he wants to be adored?
Yes.
Very clearly. Go baptize all nations. Did Christ say go baptize all individuals?
No.
No. Go baptize nations. Bring whole nations to the faith. And do the baptism and give them my body and blood to eat. Do this sacrifice, right? So how is his wish? He wishes to be worshipped, namely, and here's a quote from the great encyclical Libertas, by who?
Pope Leo XIII.
Issued June 20th, what year?
1888.
1888.
Where he says, loud and clear, Tony, or Mike, or Andres.
It is held to profess that religion which alone is true, and which can be recognized without difficulty, especially in Catholic states, because the marks of truth are, as it were,
Engraven upon it.
Okay, I repeat, when you're driving down the highway, you see the golden arches. What is that?
Golden
Oh,
arches.
McDonald's.
Yes, driving down the road, you see this pizza and a fancy tilted hat and what's it called?
Pizza Hut.
What else is there? You're driving down and you see DQ.
Very cool. You see the domino symbol.
Yeah, the domino symbol, yes. Those are all marks of what you're going to get when you order food there. Right? That includes Taco Bell. Taco Bell's old symbol used to be a simple bell, like a church bell.
Mm-hmm.
But now they have this bell with a, and someone pointed out to me it's a 6. The bell ringer is the shape of a 6. So you have in the front the 6, you have it on the side of the building and the other side. So you have 666 on Taco Bell. Huh?
Taco Bells are evil.
Maybe that's looking too much into it, but
Sonic tacos.
anyway, doesn't Taco Bell match up to excellent Mexican food?
No, not at all.
No.
Michael, do you have any objection to this?
No.
Yes. So, how do you know the true Catholic Church? How do you know the true church at all? There are 4 marks. What are they?
One
Holy Catholic and Apostolic.
Yes. So how do you convince people today of that? Since Vatican II. 1? What are you talking about? There's Sedevacantists, Traditionalists, Novus Ordos. You call that 1? And we say yes. Because you gather all the traditional Catholics together, whether they're Sedevacantists or not. They're all going to hold the same catechism, definitely. But they're going to, fight over is he Pope or not Pope. But, okay, that is a detail. But as far as the main dogmas of the faith, they're not going to deny these. The Novus Ordos will, and often just out of ignorance, because they haven't been taught. But sometimes out of bad will, like the Vatican with this document on Our Lady, insulting her. This year, November, just a few days ago, 2025. So very serious. So 1, holiness. The Catholic Church's doctrine is holy, and also she's holy in her,
And her many saints.
yes, her living examples, and also in her,
Members.
yes, same thing,
Her liturgy.
her liturgy, but also in her, who founded it.
Oh, and her founder.
Founder.
Yes.
Her founder is God himself. God himself. Peter's not the founder of our Catholic Church.
He's not father?
No, it's Constantine
You-
on it is.
Oh yeah, they often say that, don't they?
Yeah.
So many retarded people say that.
Holy Catholic, the Catholic Church is Catholic, meaning it's just for the black race, right? Is the Catholic Church only for the blacks?
No, because that goes against the Book of Mormon.
Yes, that would be very racist if Christ only founded the Catholic Church for blacks. But no, it's for the whites and the reds and the yellows as well. So I say this many times, so let me ask you, where can you find on the main altar pillars on the cupola covering the main altar built before Vatican II in the 1930s and 40s under Cardinal Glennon? The 4 pillars over the altar are black, red, white, and yellow, representing the colors of the human race. Where is this basilica? In the United States. Where?
Chicago.
No.
Minneapolis.
But south of that, south of Minneapolis, I'll give you the state, Missouri.
St. Paul.
It's in Missouri. What city? What's the famous city in Missouri? Named after a great king.
St. Louis.
St. Louis the Ninth. St. Louis Basilica. And then in there you see that beautiful, the pillars around the altar. But unfortunately, in that same basilica, you have a mosaic that was done in the 70s of Cardinal Ritter praising and signing the document on religious liberty. So that's up on the church walls. All right, so the Pope is saying, yes, the state has a duty to profess that religion which is recognized to be the true one. How do you know? The 4 marks. And worship the way God wants to be worshipped. And then you also have another quote from Libertas. The next one, Anthony. Justice forbids,
and reason itself forbids, the state to be godless, or to adopt a line of action which would end in godlessness, namely, to treat the various religions, as they call them, alike, and to bestow on them promiscuously equal rights and privileges.
Now this needs to be written in stone in Washington, D.C. Everybody repeat this, it's too important. Justice forbids.
And reason itself forbids the state to be godless, or to adopt a line of action which would end in godlessness, namely to treat the various religions, as they call them, alike, and to bestow on them
Promiscuously
equal rights and privileges.
Very powerful. That's worth memorizing. Hang it up in your room or on the mirror when you're brushing your teeth. Memorize this. Justice forbids. So it's against justice for the state to be godless. No wonder the Western nations are falling apart. No wonder they're just nosediving like a plane crash into destruction. So separation of church and state is so evil, so serious. 1. Leo the 13th, Immortality Day, November 1st, 1885, said to Michael,
quote, "For we are bound absolutely to worship God in that way which he has shown to be his will."
yes, has God made known how he's to be worshipped?
Yes.
Yes.
How is he to be worshipped?
Through his Catholic Church.
And what does the Catholic Church do that worships him?
The Holy
Holy
Sacrifice of the Mass.
Yes. God the Father looks down on the earth, and all have gone astray. But only one pleases him, and that is his divine Son on the cross. That is the Mass. 2. Pius X, Michael, Vehementor, February 11th, 1906.
The opinion that the affairs of the state ought to be separated from the affairs of the church is certainly falsissima. Maximeque
perniciosa. So Father Gershbacher made these notes, by the way. Perrin would know him. And this is the Latin right out of the text. Falsissima, take a guess what that means.
False. Most false.
Most false. Maximeque perniciosa.
And most pernicious.
Yes, maximum of perniciousness. So, to say Satan Church must be separate is so most false and most pernicious. And what is the definition of pernicious? Anyone? Pernicious. Pernicious, having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. Synonyms: harmful, damaging, destructive, injurious, hurtful, detrimental, deleterious, dangerous, adverse, inimical, unhealthy, unfavorable. This is church and state separation. This is what the church thinks of that. Bad, evil, baleful, wicked, malign, malevolent, malignant, noxious, poisonous, cancerous, corrupting. What does the church think of separation of church and state? Ruinous, deadly, lethal, fatal, malefic, maleficent, pestilent, pestilential, baneful, pestiferous. Any confusion on that?
No.
Can any Catholic support separation of church and state?
No.
If one knowingly does and rejects the church's traditional teaching, is he still a Catholic?
No.
He's certainly a heretic. And a lot of Americans are heretics, they just don't know it. And not just Americans, Canadians too, and many Western nations. Europeans too, they believe in separation of church and state now. So it's very serious, and you never hear priests preach about this, let alone bishops. Never. That's why people are in such a spiral of confusion. Did Archbishop Lefebvre preach this?
Yeah.
Definitely. He laid his whole life on the line to defend the kingship of Christ. 3, definition prepared for Vatican I. So here's Vatican I's definition. Read on, please, Guadalupe.
This association of each state, from which flows into civil society itself, such great good, is not left to the free option of men, but is a precept of the law of God.
Repeat.
This association of each state, from which flows into society itself, such great
Into
good.
civil society. Repeat.
This association of each state, from which flows into civil society itself, such great good is not left to the free option of men, but is a precept of the law of God.
Yeah, so is it up for grabs
No.
that the state must be Catholic and profess the true faith? No, it's a precept, it's a command, it's a law of God. Now, this was prepared for Vatican I. Why was it never defined at Vatican I? Because what happened?
Was that when
There was a war going on,
Yeah.
Franco-Prussian War, and they had to abruptly stop the First Vatican Council. So this was one of the definitions prepared, so it certainly counts. Principle 4, the church is in every way subject to the state.
No.
In no way.
Is that true?
No.
What's it say, everybody?
The church is in no way subject to the state.
Repeat.
The church is in no way subject to the state.
Repeat.
The church is in no way subject to the state.
Yes. So when the state a few years ago was telling the bishops, you got to close your churches, the bishops should have said, get lost. But the American bishops were given $3 billion to shut up and cooperate, which they did. So they put money above God. They'll answer for that. Notion 1, notion and species of subordination. If a society depends on another, it is said to be
Subordinate.
1, there is a negative subordination. 2, positive subordination. 1, negative subordination. That is, Tony?
If nothing can be done to harm the superior. The second positive, if it is held to contribute to the good of another, insofar as this shall be judged necessary.
Yes. And then positive can be either directly subordinate or indirectly subordinate? Directly is, Tony?
If a society depends on the superior in its nature and in all its actions.
And indirectly?
If it does not depend on the other, except by the nature of another thing, by reason of its end of greater precedence.
Yeah, so you have what's called distinctions here, which St. Thomas is constantly making distinctions. Truth requires distinctions. Truth always requires, in most cases, distinctions, especially for us men. So, God has a birthday. No, he doesn't. He's from eternity. You have to distinguish. God as man has a birthday, which is what day?
December 25th.
But God as the invisible being
Is from eternity.
is from eternity. So that's an example of this. To get to truth, you often have to make distinctions. 2, proof of thesis. The church is a perfect society. Therefore, in its affairs, it is absolutely free from all direct human domination. A perfect society that's free and not under the state. B, Tony?
The church is a supreme society, therefore it can in no way be subject to the state indirectly, since its end is the most noble and its power the most preeminent.
Preeminent, yes. So the church is perfect society. She's a supreme society. The church is what? Perfect and?
Perfect society and a supreme society.
What are the two?
Perfect society and supreme society.
Yeah. It's perfect as to its essence. It's free and it's under no human domination ever. And then supreme because its end is
Supernatural.
the highest end, which is to get souls to heaven. Denzinger 330, neque ab Augusto, neque ab omniclero, neque a regibus, neque a populo iudex judicabitur, prima sedes non judicabitur a quoquam. Neither by Augustus, that is Caesar Augustus, the Roman Empire, nor from any cleric, nor from kings, nor from any people is the law to be judged. The first seat, the church is the first seat, which is not judged by anyone. And that's why there's no one above the Pope to judge him. There's no one above the Pope to give him a spanking and say, behave. So when you got a bad Pope, we got to write to him, pray for him, tell him this is wrong, you can't be doing this. And then you just have to suffer through. That either he converts, or 2, he can step down, retire, and then let someone else govern the church. He can do that. Or 3, you just have to bear it patiently. But the 4th option, it's just to say, well, he's a bad pope, therefore he's not pope. I mean, that's just, it's revolutionary. It really is. The Sedevacantists, they don't like to hear that. But you have to say it. It really is, yes.
Do you think that's why Sedevacantism is probably most prominent in the U.S.?
Yes. It's a Vatican II phenomenon. Sedevacantism is a Vatican II phenomenon.
Yeah, it didn't exist before.
Yeah.
And we definitely did have popes.
We did have real bad popes in the past.
that even said heretic things.
Mm-hmm.
But the theory of the fact that the Pope could lose his office de facto was never proposed back then, seriously, the way it is now.
Yeah, it's a Vatican II phenomenon. I mean, obviously, when a pope died, you had sedevacante. The chair was empty, but that's an obvious thing. Within at least a month, there's another pope. But to say for 50, 60 now years, there's no pope, that's denying the visibility. And somewhere, I forget where, but somewhere the church teaches that you cannot go long without a visible head. Because the church has to, in its essence, be visible.
And I kind of pity the Sedevacantists because I think the more honest ones are not really trying to be revolutionary, although unconsciously they are adhering to a revolutionary
Right.
idea. But they try to draw from theologians and then pull out what they say and say, see, this is why I'm Sedevacantist.
Mhm.
But they forget that the highest definitive sources that we have are the popes and the councils.
Yes. And I think God will deal very mercifully with most Sedevacantists because they're Sedevacantists precisely because they want to protect the faith. Here we have the chief of the church attacking our faith, so they want to protect it. So that's a good instinct, actually. But I think their conclusion is wrong. But they'll argue that till the moon turns to cheese. But it'll be solved, the whole question, when we get a good pope, for sure. Principle 5. So let's quickly review here. Principle 1 was what, everybody? God is the...
author of all true authority, civil and religious alike.
Repeat.
God is the author of all true authority, civil and religious alike.
Principle 2.
Church and state are really distinct societies, but each is a complete society and independent in its own sphere.
Principle 3. Tony, loud and clear.
Neither is the church to be separated from the state, nor the state from the church.
Principle 4. Andres.
The church is in no way subject to the state.
Now, principle 5. Anthony.
The state ought to be subordinate to the church, negatively and also positively, though indirectly.
Okay, so here it nails it right on the head. Okay, when you hammer a nail, you might overshoot to the right, you might overshoot to the left, you might shoot on your thumb, but here's the nail on the head right here. The state ought to be subordinate to the church, not above it, negatively and also positively, though indirectly. So let's see what all these distinctions mean, because it's important to get to the truth. First, negatively. Negative subordination, which consists in what, Anthony?
Which consists in not impeding men from their obedience to the church in all things, which she declares necessary to attain the supernatural end.
So not impeding men from their obedience to the church in all things. She cannot say, you can't go to Mass. You can't teach the catechism. So when the state, for example, in Mexico, forbade and closed down Catholic schools in 1926 under Calles, that was way out of their step. And the healthy reaction of a healthy body is to what? What does the immune system do when it's attacked by diseases and bacteria?
Drive it up, it fights back.
It fights back. So that shows you Mexico was a healthy Catholic society because en masse, they fought back. It was a healthy immune system. Same in the Vendée in France. The Vendée was healthy. The rest of them caved in. Flanders was healthy. They rose up. Belgium against the French Revolution. So did Austria under the great, what's his name again, in Austria? Andreas Hofer. He was just a farm man who rose up an army of Catholics to fight the Napoleon's army. And they defeated them twice. And the third time, he was betrayed from within. And that's how they got defeated. Yes?
I think it was the cardinal who led the people in Italy against Napoleon. I forget his name. Or against the French revolutionaries.
I think you're thinking about the Western schism.
No, I thought it was during the revolution.
A cardinal. I don't know about that one, but I'm open to be informed. All of us are. All right, posit 2. So negative subordination. Positive subordination of the state to the church means what? Guadalupe?
It means many temporal things, although per se are not ordained to a spiritual end, nevertheless can positively contribute to obtaining this end, either as necessary means or as very useful helps.
Okay,
But-
necessary or useful helps. Go on.
But men who have the right to attain the ultimate end have the right that the means be at hand.
So, yeah, so all men are supposed to climb up to the top floor, and they all have a right to the ladders to get there. So the church gives the end, and the state can provide the wood, the metal, to help people climb the ladder, so to speak. Go on.
Therefore, the civil society must provide for its subjects all helps which are useful or necessary, as judged by the church.
Yes. Doesn't that make beautiful sense? The state has to help the church insofar as. So the state wants to, I don't know, the church cannot, the state will help the church fulfill her purpose. So she will support businesses being shut down on Sunday and make it easy to do so. The state will help souls negatively also by banning what's poisonous for souls, such as the spread of false religions publicly, pornography publicly, public sale of access to drugs, dangerous drugs like marijuana. That should be banned and some of these harder drugs like fentanyl and all that. And then what else?
During COVID, the state doesn't have the authority to close churches, or they shouldn't have the authority to close
Right.
churches.
Right. All right. So, okay, so now we're still distinguishing here. Positively subordinate, but not directly, but indirectly. So what's not directly? Go on.
Since Christ did not formally confer upon Peter a civil power, but only a religious power, the state remains independent from the church in all things which pertain to the temporal end alone.
All right, so that's not directly subordinate. So the state is not directly subordinate to the church. That would be wrong to say. Because St. Peter was not given a political seat in Rome. He was given a what?
A religious.
A religious power, yes. The See of Peter. But it is indirectly subordinate. Go on.
The state is not subordinated to the church by reason of its proper end, but only by reason of the end of the church, to which alone has been committed all moral and religious matters. This is true with regard to natural law, as well as divine positive law.
Okay, so principle 5, everybody, the state
Ought to
be subordinate to the church, negatively and also positively, though indirectly.
So, yeah, it's very clear. So you see, it's a healthy relationship, right? The church does her great business, the state does its important business, and both cooperate, like a mom and dad in a family, body and soul in the body. Proofs from sacred scripture, 1 Corinthians 16, 1 through 4. Who has the sacred scriptures? Tony, look it up quick. 1 Corinthians 16, 1 through 4. And Andres, 2 Corinthians 9. 1 Timothy 2, 9. So you're looking up 1 Corinthians 16, 1 through 4, Tony.
1 Corinthians 16, 1 through 4. Now concerning the collections that are made for the saints, as I have given order to the churches of Galatia, so do ye also. On the first day of the week, let every one of you put apart with himself, laying up what it shall well please him. And when I come, the collections be not then to be made. And when I shall be with you, whomsoever you shall approve by letters, then will I send to carry your grace to Jerusalem. And if it be meet that I also go, they shall go with me.
That's 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Okay, find 1 Timothy 2, 9. And then, Andres, you are looking up 2 Corinthians 9.
That's 2 Corinthians chapter 9, right, brother?
Yes.
For concerning the ministry that is done towards the saints, it is superfluous for me to write unto you. For I know your forward mind, for which I boast of you to the Macedonians, that Achaia is also ready from the year past, and your emulation hath provoked very many. Now I have sent the brethren, that the thing which we boast of concerning you be not made void in this behalf, that, as I have said, you may be ready, lest when Macedonians shall come with me, and find you unprepared, we, not to say ye, should be ashamed in this matter. Therefore I thought it necessary to desire the brethren that they would go to you before, and prepare this blessing before promise, to be ready, so as a blessing, not as covetousness. Now this I say, he who soweth sparingly shall also reap sparingly, and he who soweth in blessings shall also reap blessings. Every one, as he hath determined in his heart, not with sadness, or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound in you, that ye always have all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. As it is written, He hath dispersed abroad, He hath given to the poor, His justice remaineth forever. And he that ministereth seed to the sower will both give you bread to eat, and will multiply your seed, and increase the growth of the fruits of your justice, that being enriched in all things you may abound unto all simplicity, which worketh through us thanksgiving to God. Because the administration of this office doth not only supply the want of the saints, but aboundeth also by many thanksgivings in the Lord. By the proof of this ministry, glorifying God for the obedience of your confession unto the gospel of Christ, and for the simplicity of your communicating unto them and unto all. And in their praying for you, being desirous of you because of the excellent grace of God in you. Thanks be to God for His unspeakable gift.
Okay. 1 Timothy 2:9.
1 Timothy 2:9. In like manner, women also in decent apparel, adorning themselves with modesty and sobriety, not with plaited hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly attire.
I think that's a misquote. All right, maybe Father Gershbarger did admit sometimes I got home late from Mass Circuit and sometimes punched in a wrong number. So anyway, we'll take a quick scan of 1 Timothy 2:9.
Yeah, I was trying to...
What would apply to the state being subordinate to the church?
So this is the beginning. This is chapter 2, starting with verse 1. I desire therefore, first of all, that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are high in station, that we may lead a quiet and a peaceful life in all piety and chastity, for this is good and acceptable in the sight of God our Savior, who will have all men to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth.
Okay, that's probably the verse. That's 1 Timothy 1. Yeah.
It might be talking about the chapter as a whole, like 1 Timothy 2, and then maybe 1 Timothy 9, chapter...
Well...
Chapter 9, so never mind, that doesn't work.
All right. Practice of the popes, fathers, and the councils. St. Ambrose forbids who to enter the church? Theodosius did a massacre, I think, over... I forget how many people. And he had to do public penance. So that's an example. St. Ambrose standing in front of the church, blocking the emperor. You don't enter here until you do public penance. Right? That's what the bishop should be doing. That's what Pope Leo should have been doing at St. Peter's Basilica when the LBGQ marched in. Stand in front and say, none of you enter here unless you do penance. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what they should be doing.
Yes.
So, and then Bull Unam Santam, Denzinger 468, Unam Santam. St. Thomas Aquinas, Secunda, question 60, article 6, ad tertium. The secular power is subject to the
spiritual as body is to soul.
So as body is subject to the soul, so the state is subject to the church. There it is. As body is subject to the soul is higher, So the state is subject to the church. Adjutorium nostrum in nomine Domini.